is where you can catch the TISD rebroadcast of our debate tonight. And we certainly thank Angela and all her crew and all their help in helping us with the debate here this evening. We want to thank all of our candidates who came tonight, who will be, again, they've still got a long ways to go as we head towards the March 4th primary all across Texas. Of course, on Election Day, as most of you well know, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is the polling days, and you can consult on the paper for polling locations all across Smith County, or you can call the county elections office to get more information about that as we approach Election Day. It's an exciting time in Texas as we head to the primaries. Again, this race, as many of the ones that we have had here tonight, will be decided on the March 4th primary, as there's no opponent that is running in the other primary, in the other major party primary. So the vote on the March 4th will decide, in this case, our representative that covers the primarily the large part of Smith County, that state, Representative District 6, with the incumbent Matt Schaefer and the challenger Skip Ogle. So as we have with all of our others, we will begin with a short, brief introduction of 3 minutes from each of our candidates, and we begin with the incumbent Matt Schaefer. Matt.
Thank you, and thank you for all of you that are here, and thank you to CBS 19 and the Tyler Paper for hosting this debate. Respect. That is the word America has for Texas. Despite all the challenges we face and all the problems laid before our feet, respect. How do we know? It's because people are coming here every day. Texas is a place people want to be. Now, if you listen to President Obama and liberal Democrats, you would think quite the opposite is true. But Texas is not Washington. Our economy proves that. But let's not spend 1 minute being satisfied with where we are. Because there are people who are struggling with sickness, struggling financially. We need more jobs. We need a sustainable healthcare model. We need more education. We've got to have elected officials that are held accountable with how we spend your taxpayer money. We need fewer regulations. We need less duplication of programs. We need more freedom, because freedom is a long-term solution. More government is not the answer. No, government usually gets in the way. I believe in bigger Texans and smaller government, stronger families and fewer handouts, free enterprise, not Obamacare. And we must take the issue of securing the border seriously. And we must always speak out against abortion and for unborn children. We should restore vocational training in our public schools, because college is not the only way to succeed. You see, East Texas in particular is a place where people are not afraid to stand up for what they believe. Stand up for faith in God. Stand up for the Constitution. Stand up for our rights in the Second Amendment to keep and bear arms. Stand up for marriage between a man and a woman. And I'm going to continue to stand up for your conservative principles when I go back down to Austin.
Mr. Ogle.
Thank you for having us here at CBS 19, Tyler Morning Telegraph. It's a great honor to be with this crowd this evening. My name is Skip Ogle, and I'm a candidate for State Representative for House District 6. I've lived in this community for over 15 years, worked here, have a small home building business, I manage a family farm, and I work for a large employer. I see major challenges facing this community in East Texas. Challenges including overzealous government regulations. I understand overzealous government regulations and how they impact a small business, how they impact a large employer, and how they impact even a small family farm. I will fight overzealous government regulations that hurt our community. The second major challenge that I see facing our community in East Texas is protecting our natural resources. Dallas-Fort Worth is building a pipeline to Lake Palestine today. A pipeline that at full capacity could move 350 million gallons of water per day. We have to fight, protect our natural resources, but we have to work with legislators across this state to make sure that we can meet the demand in water, transportation, education for the rest of this great state. In order to face these challenges, I think we need a representative with certain qualities. One of those qualities is leadership. We need someone that will work in the forefront, not in the background. Somebody that will work for our community, not against it. The second quality is a coalition builder. And I've got a long resume in this community of being a coalition builder, of building effective coalitions to fight tax increases, to fight other problems and solve problems that have faced this community. A third quality of a leader, of a representative rather, is accessibility. An elected official is a public servant from day one. That's why I commit to you tonight that when I'm sworn in as state representative, if you elect me, I will have a district office open in our community available to you day one, so that you can come in and talk about the issues that affect you, that concern you, that affect this community and this great state. These are all reasons why I believe I'd be the best representative and why I'm asking for your vote this primary. Again, my name is Skip Ogle. I'm running for state representative. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Representative, would you move your mic just a little bit? We're getting a little back this way. Yeah, there you go, just a little bit so we don't get quite that popping noise in it. All right, let's go to the question and answer phase of our debate, and we begin with Dave Barry, the editor of the Tom Morning Telegraph. Dave.
During this race, the issue of working with House leadership has come up. Mr. Schaefer, do you feel you are able to work effectively within the current system as it exists? If not, what plans do you have to change the system?
Absolutely. I've had a good relationship with many members of the House. I have certainly supported Speaker Strauss when we have areas that we have common values. I've had the privilege to bring 2 committee chairmen from other parts of the state here to Tyler, including the chairman of insurance, a long-standing member from Amarillo came to Tyler, including the chairman of public health, who came here to see that health care for East Texas is centered in Tyler. And a woman who's in charge of the most important public health care committee in the House, and a member of the leadership team, came here to Tyler at my request. Earlier last fall, we had legislators from all over the state came here to support me. And it's interesting, you mentioned coalition building and protecting our water. The pipeline was an agreement that was done back in the late 70s, and it is going to go to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I have very strong relationships with members from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In fact, one of them was here in Tyler on Saturday, walking blocks for me. Scott Sanford from McKinney, which has one of the most acute drought situations in the state, is one of my strong supporters. So it's going to be very important for us to maintain those relationships in the House as we move forward.
Mr. Ogle, you've maintained that Mr. Schaefer's relationship with House leadership has hurt the district. Can you please support that contention with specifics?
One specific example that I've repeated over and over is the failure to shepherd a pharmacy school bill through the House this past legislative session. That bill died in committee, and we had to rely on State Representative Travis Clardy to shepherd that bill through at the last minute towards the end of the session. That's one example of several bills that our representative authored and filed, and was unable to successfully shepherd through the House of Representatives. I go back, though, to a quote that the representative made in the grassroots debate a couple of years ago when he was running against then incumbent Leo Berman. And what we've heard is rhetoric that our representative blames the speaker for not being able to shepherd that bill through. So maybe tonight we can get that on record, but the quote that Representative Schaefer used this past election cycle was this, quote, "Every time something fails," I'm speaking to Representative Berman at the time, "every time something fails, you say it was the speaker's fault or the Democrats threatened me. That doesn't sound like the type of fighter we need." I can tell you that I can take my resume of coalition building down to Austin, and we can work together. I can open my door to our office here in this community, and we can work together. And I will listen to you and listen to your concerns and be able to take those opinions and concerns and worries down to Austin and be able to fight together. And that's where my heart's at. That's where my heart's at for this community, and that's what we can do down in Austin together. We're very successful in this community working together. And we can do that in Austin. We can do that with leadership. whoever the leadership is.
I'd like another rebuttal.
All right.
There you go again, Skip, searching for failure in the midst of success. I was a co-author of that bill. It was Senator L-Type's bill, not Representative Clardy's bill. It was Senator L-Type's bill that moved. And you talk about coalition building. It was an East Texas team effort. I supported the bill. I voted for the bill. I used my influence as a budget hawk to convince conservatives who were concerned about it that it was a good bill. The Calendars Committee chairman moved it in a very short period of time at my request, and the bill passed. What you should do is say, how can a bill to do something like that pass in the first session? I spoke to Speaker Strauss personally about that bill, and I believe it was fine. And so, you know, when you have a team effort and a coalition that got a bill done, then you would say, no, you didn't get it done by yourself. Well, that's the wrong answer. You don't get anything done by yourself in Austin. You don't shepherd anything by yourself in Austin. You do it all together. And I worked with Travis Clardy and Brian Hughes and David Simpson and Senator L-Type under his leadership, and Travis Clardy, who was on the committee. The bill did have some opposition, and we overcame that opposition, and we got it done. There's no need to search for failure in the midst of success.
Okay. Dave Barry, next question.
Time for a vote for that, or not? Is that appropriate? Can I?
Okay.
Representative Schaefer, I believe the record reflects in the House of Representatives that your bill never got out of committee. It was State Representative Travis Clardy, a state representative in Nacogdoches, that authored that bill in the last.
Skip, as a career lobbyist, you know that when a bill comes over from the Senate, it is a Senate bill.
I'm sorry, in my rebuttal
It has a
time, and as a
Senate bill.
career political staffer, Representative Schaefer, I believe that you probably know that the record is you have to shepherd that bill through. It'll meet in conference committee, and then it comes out of conference committee together. Now, I understand that it was dependent upon State Senator Kevin L-Type to be able to carry that bill, but you are mistaken, Representative Schaefer, and I'm sorry that you're trying to mislead this crowd and have been misleading folks all along. It was not your bill that got out of committee.
It's interesting that not a single member of the legislature, Senate or House, has come forward and publicly substantiated what you said.
Let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. Dave Barry, next question. Roy Baynard, next question.
We'll start with Representative Schaefer. Are the state's transportation needs being met? And if not, how do you propose to pay for additional road repairs and transportation infrastructure?
Well, we've had a level of spending in TxDOT of about $10 billion a year. That's a significant level of spending on new construction and maintenance. And the question becomes, in 2016, how will we maintain that level of spending? And there's three options. One is borrow more money. Option two is raise taxes. Or option three, live within our means. State government, because the economy has grown, has received a tremendous amount of new tax money. So looking at the tax rates across the state right now, you can use those same rates and the government's had more money. We need to look at that existing revenue and say, how can we live within our means first before we start talking about bringing more money out of taxpayers' pockets?
Mr. Ogle?
You know, the representative voted for the House bill, the budget bill that passed out of the House and the first time, I believe. And that included about a 20% increase from the last biennium. So there's a lot more money included in that. And what Representative Schaefer berated former Representative Leo Berman on was voting for a balanced budget that was 20% less in the last biennium. And Representative Schaefer voted for one that was significantly increased this past session. So I struggle how we're going to maintain with what we have and stay within our budget, but yet still have this rhetoric of being a conservative and vote for that kind of budget. I will say that I think there's, well, if I can finish first.
Let him finish.
If I will say that I think there's plenty of opportunity to look at our roads today. Certainly, Texas is the greatest state in the nation, not just because of our great roadways, but because of the quality of life. And if we don't maintain those and build more roadways, then I'm afraid we're gonna run into a corner where we can't provide, where we may not be the #1 economic driver in this nation. So I do want to look at opportunity to be able to not only maintain our roadways today, but build new roadways. I think our county has been very creative at looking at financing opportunities. Loop 49 is a toll road, and not that I want to see toll roads, but without Loop 49, we would not see the economic driver we're seeing in South Tyler today without that roadway. So I think we need to put all these things on the table. Does that mean I want more taxes? Absolutely not. As a small business owner, as an employee of a large employer, I don't want to see more taxes at all. But I think we need to look at every opportunity. And I think we need to look at the budget that we have today and scrub the budget. The laziest thing that any legislator can do in office is not look at every line item in the budget. And what our representative did this past legislative session is vote for Oyster Research, which cost this state $1 million. That's just one line item that we can move beyond from.
Mr. Ogle, there you go again. As somebody who's worked in Austin for over a decade as a lobbyist, you know that when the budget left the House, that was a procedural vote. And the budget that left the House lived within our means. It did not break the spending cap.
It was
And so
20%
when it came back from the Senate, it spent too much money and did not meet the priorities for water and for transportation as we wanted it to. And so I voted against the budget. And when you look at what the Rice professor, who is an independent source, says I have the second most conservative voting record in the Texas House, it's not because I was being liberal with our money. It's because I was being tight-fisted with our money. And I will continue to do that. Now, you mentioned roads, and you've already called for a tax increase on oil truckers in our previous debate. Our oil truckers are part of an industry that has brought more new revenue into the state than anybody else. They're doing well. I don't believe that we all have to do, that we're going to do better because we knock them down a notch. Let me tell you, I'm not going to raise taxes on oil truckers like Mr. Ogle wants to. We're going to look under the cushions. We're going to find money. We're going to find ways to streamline, and the economy's going to grow. And Texas is likely going to have more money in the revenue this next time under our current tax rates.
Next question.
Mr. Schaefer, Mr. Ogle has made public education an issue in this race. What are your proposals to improve the quality of public education in Texas?
Thank you for that question. I have talked about education since the first day I ran. One of the things you will hear me talk about over and over again is restoring vocational training in our public schools. College is not the only way to be successful. But we have had a policy emphasis out of Austin for a long time that says every child must go to college in order to be successful. But what's happening is they're spending 5 or 6 years in college, piling up student loan debt, then getting out and not really having a skill where they can get a job. So we need to give them more options when they're younger. Turning a wrench might turn a life around. Turning a wrench is applied physics. I think we could affect the dropout rate. I think we could affect the number of people getting on welfare rolls. If we would start teaching them to get calluses on your hands, to learn to work with your hands, to do something not just to earn a buck, but to use it for your advantage in life. Whether it be fixing the car, learning nursing skills, drafting, computer skills, you name it. Not every child is destined for college, and we should treat different children differently. We should stop teaching to the test and teach to the child. We have an economy out there that focuses on customization, yet we forced our schools into standardization. We need to give more flexibility to our school superintendents to be able to go to the Chamber of Commerce meeting and say, you're an expert in your field, and you'd like to give back. I've got a place for you to come in the classroom and give real-world application to this young man or woman who's disillusioned, who's not doing well in Algebra 2. We can restore vocational training in public schools, and we can make a real difference.
Thank you. The bond, the past TISD bond that you opposed, Representative Schaefer, included the money for our new Career and Technology building within TISD, which I serve on the steering committee.
Where do you have that? Can you quote me somewhere?
By conversations that we've all had with you during the past legislative session.
You've never heard me say that publicly.
Did you support the TISD bond?
I never took a public position on it because it was a private decision for me. And I'll tell you why I didn't take a public decision on it.
Matt, I'll just finish my statement.
If you're going to make an allegation, Skip, you're going to have to respect.
Matt, the TISD bond that recently passed, which I was proud to support, add the money in there to build the vocational program that he speaks of. That's the Career and Technology Building that we're very proud of, and I serve on that steering committee today. I was outwardly spoken in support of that TISD bond, and I'm grateful for it because that does create opportunities. And again, I serve on the steering committee for that vocational school. That does create programs and opportunities for kids that may not be career or college bound, and may be college bound at a later time. So I'm very proud to be part of that and very proud to support that program. As far as education is concerned, and yes, that is a high priority for me, we've treated the TISD and all of our ISDs in Texas like a political piñata. We've kicked it around in budgeting processes, and in fact, our retired teachers for almost a decade were without any type of cost of living increase. I don't think that's any way to treat a past teacher who sacrificed their life and put so much into ours. Thank you.
Jim, when we do our rebuttals, let's make sure that we're going specifically after something and not just bringing up all of the thing. Representative, you can have a chance to.
I'm glad you mentioned retired teachers. I co-authored the bill that restored the teachers' retirement system to actuarial soundness, that put more money into the teachers' retirement system and gave most retired teachers a cost of living raise that they haven't had in a long time. And why do we do that? Because that's a role for state government. Most retired teachers do not have Social Security. They're not eligible for it. So like my mother, who just retired from teaching for 22 years, she's not going to be eligible for Social Security. So I was one of only 6 members in the House that co-authored the bill to restore the teachers' retirement system to solvency. I care very deeply about public education, and I have a great relationship with our local public schools. I spent many hours in the schools, viewing what they're doing there, talking to our superintendents, talking to teachers, and talking to students. It's important. It's not a liberal or conservative issue. It's not a Republican or Democrat issue. It's a Texas issue. It's an issue that's been here since the beginning of the state, and it will continue to be something that we focus on.
Okay, move to the next round. Dave Barry, your next question.
I'll take this
Oh,
one.
Roy, okay.
An issue that I haven't heard either of you talk about in regards to education is the issue of school choice, which we understand is going to be a relatively big issue in the coming legislative session. Can I hear both of your views on that? Let's start with Mr. Oakland.
I think we have school choice today. If there's a non-performing school within an independent school district, then that family can make a choice to move that child to another school within that same ISD. I think the idea of competition within schools sounds very good. However, I also have talked to schools across this district, public schools, private schools, charter schools. If you go to a charter school in Tyler, the ones I'm familiar with, they had a banner out in the front yard during this past summer that applications are being accepted. That's not true for a public school. Public school doesn't make you apply. A public school has to open the door for every child, no matter the handicap, no matter the aptitude. That child gets to go to a public school. So if there is a school choice, then it has to be parity, it has to be equal among all schools. There cannot be an application process in the private schools, the charter schools, or the public schools if there is a school voucher